Okay, let's get started. We've got these sources in front of us today, focusing on a really tragic event reports about an Air India plane crash.
Yes, and our aim here is really to look just at what these specific reports tell us, sort of key details they share about what happened right at the beginning.
Exactly, cutting through the noise. And these feel very much like initial reports, yeah, capturing the immediate aftermath.
That's right. What's striking is how quickly a very grim picture starts to emerge from these first accounts.
So what's the first thing they establish?
The basics of the flight. The sources confirmed the plane crashed shortly after taking off in India.
Okay, shortly after takeoff and its destination.
It was reportedly heading to Gatwick Airport.
Right, Gatwick. Okay. And then there's the human element, the scale of it. These reports mention numbers.
They do. They state more than 240 people were confirmed to be on board.
More than 240. Wow. And they highlight a specific detail, too, about nationalities.
Yes, they point out that 53 of those on board were British nationals.
Yeah.
Sets that international context immediately.
But then comes the really stark news. The reports address survivors.
They do, and it's difficult. The sources indicate quite clearly that officials reported no survivors among the people on the plane.
No survivors. That's incredibly hard to hear, especially confirmed so early in these initial reports.
It is, and they actually attribute this. The reports mention the Ahmedabad police commissioner, Gyanendra Singh Malik, confirmed this directly to the Associated Press.
Right. Ahmedabad being the departure point mentioned in the sources you shared. That speed of confirmation is something else.
It really is. It suggests, the scene itself must have been, overwhelmingly catastrophic from the very start for officials to make that call.
Yeah. And the impact wasn't just contained to the flight itself, was it? What about on the ground?
No, absolutely not. The reports state the plane crashed directly over and actually into a residential area.
Into a residential area, and the same police commissioner, Malik, is quoted on this too.
Yes, the sources say he also stated that some locals would also have died.
So casualties expected among residents on the ground as well. Just awful.
It broadens the scope of the tragedy immediately. And beyond these statements, the sources also talk about visual evidence circulating very early on.
Visuals, like video.
Exactly. They mention an online video that reportedly shows the plane flying low over houses, then the crash, described as a huge fireball, followed by these large plumes of black smoke.
Fireball and smoke. And then images, too, actual photos from the scene.
Yes, descriptions of photos showing the immediate aftermath. Parts of the plane itself visibly embedded into a residential building.
Embedded right into a building. What parts do they mention?
The reports get quite specific. They mention seeing pieces of the aircraft's landing gear, parts of the fuselage, and the tail actually sticking out of the building.
Landing gear, fuselage, tail. Seeing those specific parts lodged in a building, it just paints such a devastating picture of the impact force.
It really does. These aren't just abstract reports. They're describing very concrete, very disturbing visual details. The images apparently also show firefighters already there, tackling the smoke.
So, bringing all these initial reports together, what's the immediate picture they give us?
Well, we get the basic flight path India to Gatwick. We get the scale over 240 on board, including British nationals.
Then the absolutely devastating news, confirmed early by officials, according to these reports, no survivors on the plane.
Right. And the crash site itself, a residential area with expected casualties on the ground, too.
And finally, this very immediate visual element, descriptions of video showing the crash and images of the wreckage, specific plane parts embedded in homes, responders on scene.
Exactly. That's the baseline these initial reports seem to provide. It's a tough baseline, but it's what the sources lay out right away.
Understanding these immediate facts as presented here is crucial. So we've walked through the flight details, a confirmation of no survivors on board, the ground impact, and the visual evidence described.
Yeah, it's the immediate snapshot from these specific accounts.
It makes you think, though. With video and images mentioned so prominently right from the start, what does that immediate, stark visibility of a tragedy like this actually tell us about how we understand these events literally as they happen? Something maybe for you, the listener, to consider.